is it Oberg? Am I saying that right?
Oberg.
Oberg.
It's an
Oberg.
easy name, but there's no apostrophe in it. It's just capital O and then lowercase B-E-R-G.
Got it. Okay. Well, so Wendy is taking over for Roz from the senior center, and she has agreed to step up. Roz, and I think we told the committee that she had to resign for just some personal reasons. And Wendy agreed to take over. So we're very happy to have you, Wendy. And she and I have spoken just to get her a little up to speed on what the committee has been doing. And so, Wendy, I don't know if you wanted to say a few words, just who you are and why you were interested in doing it.
Hi. Yeah, no, I've been on the senior committee for many years now, and Jerry and I co-chair it together. When Jerry Cairns can't be there, then I'm there. I'm just very interested in making sure that we do have affordable housing available in Madison. I think it's very important. I think as far as being an active member, I will be absolutely do anything within reason for the committee, and I'm just looking forward to getting to know you all and working with you. So thank you for welcoming me.
Thanks, Wendy. Glad to have you here. Okay, so I think I apologize that we didn't meet last time, but we have minutes to approve, and those minutes are from October 8th. And before we do that, I apologize. Who is doing minutes today? Who did the minutes last time?
I think you did. Oh, I don't remember.
Does anyone, and I apologize, I'm here on vacation, so I don't have the minutes in front of me from last time. Does anyone have those minutes in front of them and can say who did it last time?
Okay.
Did you say Peter?
I'm looking.
Oh.
Chad did.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that, Chad, you thought you did. So that's great. So Chad did it last time. Is it you, Matt, then? Who are you driving right now, Matt?
I'm driving. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm late and I'm driving.
Okay.
Hard thing.
I mean, I conceivably could, but it'd be a little dangerous.
No, we don't want that. Is someone able to take the minutes today?
You know, I could,
Okay.
you know, Sarah, why don't I watch the video and I can take notes and then send them around.
Okay.
Hey, Sarah, I just looked at the minutes list that you sent out some time ago. So Matt is technically up, and then it would be Roz next.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh,
I don't
then
think
that
we're going to
would
make
be me.
Wendy take it on her first day. So you know what? I'll just do it. I'll take the minutes.
Okay.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah. Okay. Since we didn't know who took the minutes last time, I'm hoping everyone had a chance to read those minutes at some point. I know I did read them after you sent them, Chad. Are we ready to approve them today?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor of approving the minutes as is? Any
Aye.
opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay, so the next item is the preliminary survey results, but I did ask Eugene for some survey results, and so far I didn't get anything. Heather, did you get anything back from him yet? No. Okay, so we don't really have any results to discuss, except I think you all could see that Madison had a really disproportionate amount of the answers, and I don't know exactly what to make of that, but it was interesting to me as they would send out who had finished what, and that, you know, a town as tiny as ours in terms of the other towns had the most responses by far. I think that the feedback I heard from this group sort of over and over again is that, we asked people to do the survey, even though we didn't think it was the best. And people came back and sort of said, I was very confused. I didn't know how to answer a lot of the questions. So I'm interested to see what we'll get or what we'll learn from it. I don't know if people heard more or have other thoughts on how it was that we got so many responses and other towns got so few. Right.
I don't know. I'm surprised as well. I mean, I think in terms of the I was thinking, will this inform how we craft, if in fact we do craft a second survey? Because I don't think any of us were expecting the numbers that have come in. I mean, at least I wasn't. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, but I mean, just surprised, really, to be honest, surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say it's how we promoted it. I mean, and I think part of it is our first select woman is interested in getting and hearing from Madison. So she allowed us to use a lot of channels, and we had, I mean, we just have a good system in place. So Heather was able to get it posted. Rita Boland helped us get everything posted in a lot of places. I think our library was very supportive, but I agree. It was, I thought it was really weird. And more to the point, I thought it was disconcerting that, there were certain towns that had 3 or 4 or 40 people responding. So in any case, I think you're right, Matt, in terms of one of the things we want to do with our survey is educate people in terms of what we're doing, what we mean by affordable housing, and then, my goal is really to hear from people, please don't do this, please do this. So that we're getting some support when we, with whatever we give.
Sarah, you seem to have come upon a schedule for some of these educational meetings. Can you remind us of what you decided on or what we decided on for dates?
Yes, that's our next item after we do the survey. But yes, I'm happy to do that because I think maybe because you're thinking that this survey would go out at that time. Heather, what was the last from David that we, and I apologize, what happened is we had picked some dates and we had it all organized, and then David Fink said, I'm really sorry, I can't do that date. And then we worked around some dates he could do, and then Crystal couldn't do those dates. And then I think we were trying to avoid planning and zoning.
I think the date was 12/16 is the latest that I have in my email.
Yeah, same here.
Did you say 15?
16.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's what I had. Okay, so December 16th is when we're going to have the first of the educational forums, and honestly, finding a time for all of that was hard enough that I don't know that we have a second one scheduled. Andrea, were you able to see yet if Elaine would be okay with that date?
Yeah, that was the date I did give her. I just wanted to check, and she said that's fine.
Okay, that's great. Okay. And one thing we had talked about is in terms of time when we do it. It doesn't, I was thinking 7 o'clock-ish, but then am I right that this is the planning and zoning is every third Thursday?
It's the first and third Thursdays of each month.
So we had thought about doing it just before. I don't know what people think about, it's going to be Zoom. It has to be Zoom. So is 6 o'clock, you think, too early? Or I mean, I had originally thought doing it during the middle of the day was not the right thing. Do people agree with that, or, yeah? Andrea, I see you shaking your head. So you
Yeah,
think,
it seems like a lot of meetings are held at 6.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think 6 is fine, but I would say don't steer away from planning and zoning just for my sake. I mean, if 7 is better, then you should do that. I mean, I have to be at P and Z, there's no question, because we've got applications on the agenda for that night, but
Excuse me, could I just interrupt 1 second? I had someone reach out to me regarding access to the meeting this morning. The agenda that you sent out to us had a password on it, yet the agenda posted on the town's website, the link requires a password, but the password is not posted. And I just want to make sure that we are.
If they, I know if they go through the town website and you click on the meeting on the calendar, you'll be able to get straight through without a password.
It does not require?
It should not require a password, no.
Okay. So if you're looking at the agenda, I just don't want to get into a situation where we're having any public not being able to access the meeting this morning.
So if the Zoom link is correct, Aaron, and I don't do the Zoom links, but if the Zoom link is correct on the agenda, if you don't need a password, you'll just bounce in. If you do need a password, you'll put it in. So that shouldn't keep anyone from being able to access it, just because there's a password posted that you don't need. If the Zoom link.
No, there is no password on the agenda. That's what I'm trying. The agenda that was mailed to the committee had a password, but the agenda that's posted online does not.
So the way the links work, and I haven't done it, but the way, of course, a Zoom link works is you can embed the password. So it's very possible that the town website embeds the password. However, if you were going from a different Zoom link, then you would need the password. So whether it has or doesn't, the question is more, is there somebody being kept out because they don't have a password that they need?
Yes, that was the case. Somebody read the agenda, tried to go through the ID for the webinar, and there's no password posted on our agenda. So that unless they were going through some calendar link, they wouldn't be able to access the meeting.
So Heather, could that be that the agenda doesn't have the right?
I don't understand why our written agenda had it, but the one that's posted does not.
That's why I'm asking if the one that's posted. So you're saying okay, so the person tried to get in from the agenda. Okay, so the agenda posts the password, and you're saying I don't understand why the
agenda does not have the password on it. I'm looking at it right now on the town's website.
I'm looking at
somebody else in our office can go off of the agenda and get in.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at an agenda that does. Did you take it off?
Yeah, the written one has it.
The agenda that was emailed to us has the password on it.
And that's what I forwarded over to the town to be posted.
It's not on the agenda online.
All right, let me see if I can find.
That's above my pay grade. I write an agenda.
Well, I just don't want to have
I
a
understand.
defect in our agenda and conduct business without anyone being able to access.
I don't really understand how they would.
Do you want me to check in with Lauren and see what she suggests?
Sure, I'm trying to understand. The agenda I sent was not what was posted?
No, the agenda you sent was exactly what I forwarded along to be posted. I didn't make any changes to the agenda. Yeah, it's the exact agenda that you sent along, so I'm not sure. Let me see if I can, let me mute myself and see what I can find.
The agenda's not on this. Let me see if I can do this.
I'm sorry, folks. This is a big waste of time.
Can I just interrupt for a moment? I have to leave because I have to conduct a book talk downstairs. So I have to leave like at 9 o'clock.
No problem.
So,
No
you
problem.
know, just wanted to say that because I didn't say it when I was introducing myself.
No
Okay.
problem. I think the issue is that if we, you know,
All right.
if we have not posted somehow, if somehow what I sent didn't get posted, then, you know, Aaron's right. Then if there are people that can't get in, then it's not a public meeting and then we can't continue, I think is the honest truth.
Continue.
Which is really too bad, and we'll figure out from now on. Oh, sorry,
You know, it's interesting.
Is this-
the whole, this.
Are we talking about the agenda?
Yes, we're talking about the agenda.
No, I didn't finish. The agenda, is it in the agenda center on the website? Is that where you're,
Let's look.
because, I mean, sometimes the agendas are posted in various places. So I was just gonna try it myself here.
Yep, so if you go to the agenda center, click on affordable and the regular meeting, the password is not on that agenda. That's the concern.
and when you
Erin.
click on that, and Aaron, when you click on that meeting, you need a password?
Yes, when you go to enter in that code, it requires a password to access the meeting.
Call in webinar ID. Okay,
For for dialing in and link.
Okay, so,
but I want to look at one other place, because on the calendar, on the
The calendar
website,
has a direct link.
okay. All right, so there is public access then.
Lauren's hopping
Well-
on to clear up any confusion. Hang on one second. I'm promoting
The
her.
agenda should include the access information. That's part of
Yeah, I agree.
the
but-
legislative
Aaron,
language.
Aaron, I don't think anyone's disagreeing with you, just to be clear.
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
just-
agree.
Yeah,
Oh, I know, I just don't want,
Yeah,
No,
no,
I
I,
think
I,
we'll-
I totally agree. I don't know if it's fatal if it's available through the calendar. I'm not sure if it violates any, I don't know if Sarah, you have an opinion on that, but it should be on the agenda.
I guess,
agree,
I
but-
think Aaron's point, and we're gonna let Lauren weigh in, but I think Aaron's point, and I understand it, is that somebody from the public went to a place that they thought they could get it and they couldn't
Yes.
access it. So even though there are public places that they could have accessed it, how would they know that? So I do agree, it's probably a waste of time, but in terms of
Oh,
our waste
I
of time, not
Well,
in that,
I
you know.
don't think it's a waste of time. I just don't know if it means we can't continue with the meeting, but Lauren, I'm sure
Yeah.
Lauren,
Lauren.
I mean,
Lauren will
it's,
tell us.
the law for SB 1202, when it came into effect in July, the agenda shall include instructions for the public to attend and provide comment or otherwise participate in the meeting.
No,
Um,
I think
So,
that's very clear. So Lauren?
Hi, guys. So the policy that the town has, and this is after extensive legal review during COVID, is that what the agenda needs to have as a definite is the fact that the meeting location is on Zoom. So not necessarily the Zoom link, but that the meeting itself is noticed with the name of the commission, the date and time of the meeting, and the location. So in the past, before we had COVID and before we had Zoom meetings, it would say, whatever town room the meeting was going to be in. Now it says Zoom online meeting, I believe, on all of the agendas. And then the actual link to the meetings is on the calendar event. And what we did when COVID first happened, and it should still be on the main page of the website, is we actually did a PowerPoint tutorial of how to join public meetings that has all of this laid out. So the link is, I joined through the link on the website on the calendar event, and it works, and I was able to get in. And I looked at the agenda and I saw that the agenda does say that your location is a Zoom online meeting. So I hope that helps.
okay, then I would say go ahead and proceed if that's what the town's policy is. I think I can address specific questions of that offline, not associated with the meeting. That would be fine.
So then I think in the future, given what you just said, sorry, maybe we should be not posting the Zoom link on the website. We could talk about that because maybe that's confusing. You're saying there's another place to go in and we should just post that it is a Zoom meeting and then let the town post the link.
I think, yeah, we could clarify that before the next meeting as
Yeah.
far as what, if you,
Let's do so.
in an event to
because
save
that-
time. That's
Thank
fine.
you, because obviously we want people to be able to access it and we've been using the same format for a while now.
Yeah, I think that's how our Board of Selectmen meetings have been done as well. That's why I was mentioning that. So maybe it's a system-wide thing that needs to be looked at if there's an issue.
Great.
Thank you,
Okay,
Lauren.
thanks.
No problem, guys.
Appreciate
Have a good
it.
meeting.
Thanks, Lauren.
If we could go back to the survey, I know people have to go fairly soon, but I wanted to talk about the survey that Matt did, and I wanted to talk about, this will be the second survey that we want to put in front of people. And I think Andrea is right that we definitely want to have it done and ready for our first educational forum. And so do people have ideas of, if not questions, because I don't know that, Matt, you received much feedback on the questions. Do you have ideas of what it is that we want to hear from people or how we want to get this information? And I know, Matt, some of your questions there, we did give to Scrog and they used some of them. So we obviously wouldn't want to have anything that we had on the last one. Do people have thoughts of questions or what we're trying to get with the second survey?
I mean, I think we should wait. I think actually, Sarah, it would benefit us if we held our discussion until we got the results of the first survey. I think that will inform what we ask. I think you said at the beginning, the next survey should be educational. I agree. And I think that language should be informed by what the results of the first survey are. So I think, I don't know if we could craft an educational survey, so to speak, without knowing that. I think that will help us a lot. So that's what I'm thinking right now. And I don't know when we'll get those results. Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. I've reached out and asked and I didn't get any response. So I would just be guessing. I don't think it should take that long given the format that they used, but yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because one of those questions they took was, I think it was, do you believe there's an obligation to have, I can't remember how it was worded, but it's a pretty clear A or B question on a town's obligation for affordable housing. And depending on the answers to that, I think that will inform how we craft some of this stuff, particularly the educational part of what we're trying to do. But others may disagree with that and want to write questions and stuff, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, I guess I had a thought that what I'd like to educate the public about is that there is this law that says we have to make a plan, right? And the plan has to increase our affordable housing. And this is what our affordable housing stock currently is, which is, something like 130 units in this town. And that, we're not going to be able to make a plan to get to the numbers that we would, that the 10%, but that we're charged with creating a plan to create affordable housing. And so I guess I would like people to know what it is, and then to hear from people what would be something that they could get behind. But I think I want to make it clear that this committee is charged with making a plan to increase affordable housing. I think it's good to say, do you have a responsibility or don't you? But then there's what the law actually says about what we're doing. And I think it might be helpful for people to hear that,
And I think it's important to hear from people after they answer that question, or after we get the answers to that question, what they think affordable housing could look like in this town.
Mhm,
Yeah, I think that's right.
mhm.
So I guess I envision, I mean, the thing that I think would be helpful is some write-ins.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how we, you know, then how we handle that.
Well, so you said what, write-ins?
Yeah.
Open-ended.
You mean
Oh, I see.
Written
Okay.
answers.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And Matt, did you do it on SurveyMonkey or no? Have you?
I
is it
don't,
you?
I think I just did a Google Doc.
No, I didn't mean that. Is somebody said that SurveyMonkey, sorry, I'm getting terrible light here, allowed up to 10 or something like that questions?
Oh, yeah, I think that's right. I think SurveyMonkey is 10.
And is that, can you have write-ins or do you have to pay for that or?
I don't know. I don't know. I can find that out though. But I think it's a great idea. The write-in thing is yeah, that's a great idea. That's, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
If you look into that and I think that would help us know what we could put together here.
Okay.
And maybe because it seems hard to brainstorm in this kind of a group, maybe we do just a small committee where we come together with, you know, the finalized questions. I do agree that it would help us to know the survey results. I'm a little worried that I don't really have an answer of when we would have those survey results. And we meet every other week. So what if we do this? What if we either will or won't have the survey results? But maybe we say, there's a smaller committee that works on these once we get them, and maybe I will work to get a date from Eugene to find out, you know, when could we have survey results? Is there someone besides Matt who'd want to work on, you know, those questions? And
I would.
Andrea?
Yeah, I would work on those questions with Matt. Yeah,
Okay.
and Andrea. Okay.
So I'll work on seeing if when we can get the answers, but maybe you guys can offline find a time to meet and just, you know, with the idea that we really want to hear from people what would be where they'd like to see this, or what is affordable housing they could get behind. And also maybe a question or two that helps define the affordable housing and what we're talking about. I'm just making a note.
I have a
that-
question.
Yes.
How is it possible for us to hold an educational forum if we don't know anything, if we haven't gotten the survey back or we haven't come up with a revised survey? How are we going to educate people of what we're doing if we haven't finished getting it ready?
So the educational forum is to talk to people about all these things that I'm talking about right now, like to talk
Yeah.
about what the definition of affordable housing,
Right.
the myths behind affordable housing, what different towns have done, things like that. David Fink
Okay.
does a presentation that's the I don't remember exactly what he calls it, but, you know, dispelling the myths kind of thing. And so David Fink, for our educational forum, he's going to come in and talk about affordable housing more broadly, what people may think and what, you know. And then we also have, we have Elaine Reitman from Concord Meadows, who's going to talk about the affordable housing we have here in Madison and how it works and the wait list and the need for it. We're going to have Crystal talking from Madison Youth and Family Services about what she's seeing and the families she works with. So it's going to be, this forum is going to be, talking about affordable housing
Giving
and
it
also
background.
talking about in Madison, what we're seeing.
Okay.
And, so I don't think we need the survey results for that, but I think what we're saying is it might be helpful to have the survey done by that time so we could give it out. Okay, so I'm working on getting the feedback. Thank you guys for agreeing to sort of help us with that second survey. And what I would say is, I mean, I'm hopeful that we'll get the results this week, and maybe we could shoot for having, maybe we won't have a draft of it for the next time, but for the time just after, so that we can finalize it just before. Does that make sense? So I'm looking at the date, so by December 3rd, you would have a draft for us that we would then finalize at that meeting, so that we could have something ready for the forum on the 16th. Does that sound good?
Mhm.
Mhm.
That sounds good.
I'm sorry, I'm taking the notes too, so I'm just writing those dates.
So Wendy, Andrea, and I will connect offline, and we'll get together and come up with
Okay.
a
Do we have,
survey.
I don't have email addresses for Andrea. Matt, are you my neighbor?
I don't know.
What street do you live on? What
Soundview.
street do you live on? Yeah, you're my neighbor.
Oh,
It's
Wendy.
Up the
Hey.
street. Yeah, it's Sato's
Okay.
mother. My dog and his dog are friends.
Well, that's
Okay, I
great.
thought that was you. I thought you looked so familiar, and I thought, wait a minute. that's
And now
not
keep in mind,
Matt.
it's a public meeting, so everyone can come visit you
Oh,
guys on your street.
Oh, I forgot about that. Sorry. Oh,
It's
sorry.
all right.
You really don't live on that street. That was a fake.
Outstanding. This survey's gonna get done really
All right.
fast.
Ah,
Okay.
Andrea, they live in a beautiful place, so you're in luck. You could go there. Okay. That brings us to the questions for developers, and I know Peter said did Peter say he had to
I
just,
gotta
many people
leave,
said they had to
though.
leave by 9. I can't remember. Wendy, okay.
I do. I have to leave. I gotta.
I'm
go
back.
downstairs.
So, okay,
Okay.
so I think we
Okay.
do have some developers who are scheduled for next time. And
Oh, good.
Jerry Davis has agreed to come, although I think I will call him and remind him. I had given him the November 19th date. And Peter, you had gotten,
Yeah, the Caleb group will come. Rob Bernardin will come. He's the director of acquisitions, I think there. I'll get that title more specifically. And so he just, he's going to talk just generally about what they look for in a town and what kind of support they need, et cetera. The way affordable housing is financed is a bit different than most financing, because you often get Department of Housing grants, you get tax credits. There's a lot of financing coming together. It's cobbled together to sort of get to the whole. And, obviously towns are a town's attitude towards affordable housing is pretty important. So for example, the New Wellington project at the east end of town, Madison has granted them a tax abatement for 20 years. So obviously Madison is welcoming them into the town. Those are the kind of things they're going to want to talk about, I think. I'll make sure but I sent an email out a couple of weeks ago asking people for questions, and I didn't hear back. So if somebody could give me some questions that I can direct towards Rob, and I guess they would work as well with Jerry, that would be great.
yeah. And so I want to say, so the Caleb Group is nonprofit, right?
Yes.
And so, Jerry Davis is a for-profit developer here. And I think what I said to him is he has a lot of knowledge of projects and can tell us what are the things that when a developer looks at something would keep them from doing affordable housing, or what are the barriers? And he was really, just even in his little brainstorming with me, the things he told me were very helpful for us all to hear about capacity and funding and, even just sewer and, what is necessary. So there's a little part of me that thinks letting them just talk is helpful. But in terms of questions, I feel like I really want to hear from them, the funding, how the funding works, both for profit and not for profit, what you would need to create this housing. And I know that in this town, cluster housing has become a real issue. And so I'd really like to hear from them different ideas of what they've done in different places and how they've made it work. And I think Jerry can answer a lot of the nuts and bolts of creating housing. So I think that's, whereas Caleb Group, I think we could really hear sort of from the nonprofit side, things that they've done that have been successful. I have not yet invited Beacon, only in that I'm worried that it's too many, it might be too many people trying to talk, although I do think they would have, just like Caleb Group, they'd be able to tell us things that they have done that are successful and things that, like parameters of, no, we couldn't do this. So do people think if I ask Beacon to join, it would be too much?
I wonder if it might be good to have them on another meeting, just because the other two people you've named have experience specifically in Madison. So, and Beacon, they've done projects everywhere. So I don't know if it might be like you said. I think it would be great to hear from them, but I wonder if it would be too much to try to fit into one meeting.
I hear you.
I don't know, just want to. And then actually along those lines, I was also wondering if you were interested in having another developer besides Jerry Davis, because I know Stephen Dollar, who Peter knows, who's involved in the Hope project. It has a lot of experience. He seems to be very interested in the topic as well.
Yeah, I did talk to Stephen a while back, and he hasn't developed any affordable housing, but maybe that's not what we need him for. At least I don't think he has.
No, I don't think he has either. I think he has encountered the same challenges that Jerry Davis has.
Yes, I'm certain that's true.
And so I do think, I think that could be valuable. I want it to be clear to the public, and also I was clear to the developers that this isn't like, come develop our affordable housing or anything like that. It's, use to help us with the knowledge that you have of developing. And so Aaron, I do think that would be helpful, because for me, it was helpful to hear what Jerry is. I can tell you why we didn't put an affordable housing unit in our newest place, and I can talk to you about what we would need to do it. And I think that's really what we want to hear.
Okay, I can
Does
reach
it
out
make
to him.
sense to bring Stephen and
Was-
Beacon back together in another meeting?
Maybe, is it crazy to do it in back to back? I just, I feel like we could ask them for December 3rd. Is that too much, maybe? I don't want to invite people here and waste their time. So I do want to have pointed questions and although, so Peter, I can help you sort of with that, but I think once I got Jerry sort of talking, the amount of stuff I learned in just that short time was very helpful.
Or we also could hear how it goes with Caleb and Jerry, and then decide if we can add, learn more with another round of developers. I don't know.
And I'm sorry, Stephen has done, he's done things here in Madison, correct?
Yeah, the Dollars, Dollars have done a lot here. I don't know where else. They were the original owners of the Wellington. That was going to be a for-profit apartment house, and then they decided to sell it to Caleb/Hope to make it affordable housing. So he's done a lot of, they've been around for forever. His father is well known around the shoreline. I suspect it goes well beyond Madison, but I just happen to know their involvement here.
Maybe it's worth it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just gonna say, maybe it is worth it to invite them to the next meeting. You think 3 people is gonna be too much? All right, how about we leave it as is? We'll leave it as is. We'll hear what happens at the next we'll hear what we hear from the developers, and then we'll figure out another time to invite other people to the table. Because I think the more developers we hear from, the better. I've also been told by David Fink that, you know, a lot of developers will take you out in your town and show you different places, and give you thoughts of places. And I think that's worthwhile, but I also want to be really clear with developers, if they're going to do that, we're not, you know, this isn't any kind of contractual thing. This isn't even, you know, an implicit, like, we're going to use you to do something. But so let's start with the two developers here in Madison, one nonprofit, one for-profit, and see what we learn and see what we need to do to go from there. Peter, I will help you in the next 2 weeks. I think the questions, you know, that you had were great. Given my conversation with Jerry, I will, you know, give some specifics of what I was thinking, and we'll send it to the whole group. Okay. I'm just making note of that. And while I make note of that, future steps is, you know, the next thing. So we definitely have on our future steps doing the survey, doing our educational forum, getting some developers in to talk to us. I wanted to say, and I put down land review. The one thing we haven't done, and I apologize, I think, Peter, it was you who reached out to me to say about looking at the town's different vacant lands, things like that. Was it?
Yeah, well, I mean, Aaron, jump in here, Aaron Mannix. We have John Goskowski on retainer, as I understand it, through the end of the year to do certain planning and zoning helpful events that he could do through January. And I think one of the things we talked about was, could he go and begin to look at areas of opportunity for us to look at, you know, for people that the town has, for example, or even the town doesn't, but somebody else, a private entity has, and say, is this an area that might have the potential to be developed for affordable housing? Planning and zoning has worked on that before. Opportunity areas, that's not just for affordable housing, but just generally speaking, if we were to change the zoning or do something, what are the parcels around town that we might think about allowing, you know, in a transition zone or something like that. And so, you know, things come to mind quickly. So, for example, the Winter Club is for sale. And we all know that. You know, could that be something different? Could it be, you know, could be retail, I suppose, but I doubt it because it's in a residential area. But what are the uses for properties like that come up that aren't just owned by the town, but also owned by private individuals as well? The other thought would be, could John be retained to help us begin to be a scribe, if you will, for the actual plan itself? You know, he's written Essex, he's written Old Sabre, excuse me. And, you know, so he's got sort of the format down. And I think both of those, I mean, I'm sure they're not perfect, but they're informative. And I certainly use them to inform myself. And so that's another area. Now that might be something where the retention of John Aaron would be after his contract ends, where we bring him back. But again, you know, we talk about, we wanted to do this ourselves, and when you think about how difficult it is for people to find time, et cetera, to do things, when it gets, you know, it gets down to crunch time and getting somebody to write this thing, if we're going to do our own independent plan, it's going to be a challenge. And we're going to need somebody like John, in my opinion, to do that for us. None of us individually has the time or collectively to do it.
I like that idea. I mean, I like the idea of it, at least inviting him in to speak to us, and then thinking that through, because my understanding now is that the SCROG, you know, the consultant is going to put something together. But something I didn't realize is that they're going to write a plan, and then each town is going to be like an appendix, or, you know, have its own little something, but they'll be like general information. And I don't think that is what we're looking for. And I agree that I thought the Essex and the Old Saybrook plan, that's pretty much what we're looking for. In terms of, you know, I don't think it's that difficult to write it, quite frankly, because Old Saybrook and Essex, when you look at those, it's some of the same information. Some of it we could write right now. The harder part is the very small part of the plan that says, okay, so what are you going to do? And make the more detailed that is going to, that's the reason for this committee. And so having somebody who's knowledgeable about what you could do, instead of just forming another committee to think about it, would be, I think, very helpful. So would there be any reason, does anyone have an objection to bringing him in to at least speak to us? And keeping in mind, as we do all the time, that 15,000 grant that's still out there, is my understanding, that we could, that would be a way we could pay him for this.
I'm sorry, could someone explain what his current role is? I don't.
Sure.
Absolutely. John Guskowski is a principal of Tyche Consulting, which is a planning firm in Connecticut. And his firm was hired when Dave Anderson resigned and the town needed an interim planner. So John filled in as interim planner for several months. And as part of our land use budget, the town did approve additional funding to retain his services through the end of the year. His services are not being used. Clearly, we've transitioned here in the office, and so his role has greatly diminished here. And in speaking with Peggy and planning for our financials here, we're trying to figure out the best way to utilize John while we do have him on board, and as a resource for the commission, or for the committee, excuse me, because of his extensive involvement in writing affordable housing plans for other municipalities. We thought this would be a great fit. However, he is on a monthly retainer, and the longer we continue to pay him without doing anything, I'm going to cut him loose because I am not going to waste our money in the budget if we're not going to commit to him. So if that is something, and I know I did reach out to Sarah earlier asking if this is something that the committee would like to explore and meet with John, he's more than happy to join a meeting and your next meeting and talk to you about how he could be used, whether on an hourly basis or a specific fee to help get to our goal of writing a final document. As you know, that has to be done by June 1st. So that's sort of where we are.
He also worked in Essex for a while as their interim planner, I believe. Do you know, Erin?
Did he fill in before Carrie?
I think so. So that might be.
They're all over.
Too.
They're in Clinton. Yeah.
So just so I understand,
I'm support that.
Yeah, but just so I understand, is time of the essence then? Because you're saying that Madison is paying him right now for a certain amount of hours for November and December?
I have a certain amount of money in my budget that's already designated towards this planning fund. So it's not additional money. And it was my understanding that a grant application has not been made for any funding for the Affordable Housing Committee plan at this time.
No, it hasn't, because all you have to do for the grant is put together a budget of what you need. So originally we were going to use it for the survey, but then we didn't need it yet. And so as soon as we know what we're doing,
are those funds still available?
My understanding is they're first come, first serve, but my understanding is they are still available. But before we even get there, I guess what I'm trying to get from you, Erin, is, are you saying that he's here in November and December right now?
No, if we go to an hourly rate, we can extend him on. And it won't be at a lump monthly sum because he's not working daily for the town. So his services can be extended into the new year with the amount of money that we have left.
Oh, great. Okay, that's great.
We could also come to a contract of whatever our remaining budget is that we have left over for him and negotiate with him a set fee to be on board to implement and make sure that the plan is written by the deadline. That's another option.
I think part of our problem in this committee was that Scrog was doing all of this. And so we had a plan of what we were going to do, then Scrog was doing it. And then when we saw the first survey, we weren't sure what we were sort of getting from Scrog and what we were going to do. So I think we are, I think we do all feel like we want something maybe a little bit different, and I don't want to duplicate the efforts of the consultant. So I think what I need to do is have a clear conversation with Scrog about, what would be the end product of what they're giving us. But I definitely think it's worth it to have John speak to us. And I guess I was just trying to understand, do we need to have him like yesterday? But you're saying, no, this pool of money that we have, if we had him come, for example, December 3rd, or would it be better to talk to him before that?
I will reach out to him directly and let him know that the committee is interested, and I can arrange what our current contract is with him right now to kind of place him on hold. We're not using his services for anything else at this point. And so we can kind of come up with some alternatives. Scrog has the same deadline that we do if we were creating an individual plan. So it's likely that we'll be working in tandem with Scrog, using some of their information. They may be using some of the information that we uncover and create here as well. So I think at the end, we'll have two working documents that hopefully will be in harmony, and ours will have a little more detail, I think, specific to our town.
Okay, so if everybody's okay with that, I would ask Aaron to speak to him. And Aaron, if it's helpful, I can have a meeting, we could do a 3-way if that makes sense for us all to meet. If you're just going to talk to him, that's fine. And maybe we plan for him to come speak to this group on December 3rd.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm having a coughing fit. So, okay, I appreciate that. And I really apologize because you had reached out to me. It has been a very busy time, but I think I need to sort of look back at everything that we're doing so that we can move forward, because we do want to have a written plan, obviously by June. And I do think we want some help in that more than just what Scrog is doing. Okay, so.
Excellent. I've already spoken preliminarily to John as to our thoughts of how we could potentially use him, and he has agreed to go that route. Should the committee want to use him. So I'll go through what our funding is available. It's, I'm happy to share that money to this cause, and that will hopefully offset. And if there are additional funds needed, then we can look into the grant process as well. But at least we know we do have a chunk of planning money available, and we can use John for that.
That's great. And I assume, forgive me, but I don't really know town rules. Is there anything we have to, like, if we can just use this because he's already been designated, or is there, do you have to put out an RFP, or do you have to ask? No.
He is already under contract with the town in the
okay.
land use department as a plan for his planning services. So he's already covered.
Okay, so that's wonderful.
Yeah,
okay,
it's easier.
yes, absolutely. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
so
thanks,
it sounds
Peter.
Like, yeah. So it sounds like we have a lot of future steps. We know what we're doing. We have a survey going out. We have our educational forum. I think one thing we might want to spend a little time on at our, not our next meeting because we'll have the developers, but maybe on the December 3rd, is talking about the structure for the educational forum. And certainly we want to make sure that the Zooms are posted everywhere. And my hope is to record it and to send it out to a lot of people. And maybe this is even on Facebook and things like that. So people who can't come to the forum will be able to see it. But I think we do want to allow for questions. So we'll have to talk about how that will work over Zoom. But that we can do, I think, on December 3rd. I'm just putting that down.
Actually, I had a thought about Facebook. I wondered about what if we created a page for affordable housing Madison or something, and we create a Facebook page where we can post different things, and maybe we do, I don't know, Facebook Live, or I don't know, just to have somewhere, because social media seems to be a place where a lot of people are getting information. So that was just a thought I had.
I agree. I'm laughing because I'm on vacation here, and my husband's laughing at me that I have never been on Facebook in all of these years, but affordable housing is going to get me on Facebook, and so
well, we could put a pin in that and talk about it later.
No,
for another meeting. But I just I was thinking that might be, because even just seeing how prevalent it was in the election. I mean, that how much people go to Facebook for information. Not the young people, I realize, because they've moved on to other platforms, but
totally. Although they have to join Facebook because old people ask them for different groups. So my kids are on it for different groups. But Erin, I don't think we should put a pin in. I agree. I mean, I really agree. I think it's dicey when you ask a bunch of people to give all their opinions, but I also think that is what we want. We really want, I think, like, we're trying to do this process right and say we want to see some of this in Madison, and we want to see it in a way that Madison wants to see it. So rather than here at the last minute, I feel like Madison often comes out in opposition to something, and I think what we really want to do is bring everyone along and say, tell us what you want and what you don't want. I'd rather just see it now. So,
and I was thinking more of a platform for sharing information, but I agree, it will inevitably become a place where people post their opinions. But I think we have to be realistic that those opinions are out there. And, that's one of our goals, is to try to dispel the myths, as they say. So I don't think we can sort of run from that.
I also think that just by having a page that's for affordable housing, it gives us some control as to making sure, we're posting our message and it's not getting twisted and turned through some of the other groups. So I think if we are going to do a social media outreach, that's probably the best way to do it.
That's a good point, because if we're the administrators, we can set the rules for the page.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can take stuff off if it's in violation.
If we had to.
If we had. I mean, if it clearly violated a posted rule, then I think we would have grounds.
Right. Yep.
And on a more positive note, we can, these videos that we've talked about doing. I know Peter has said, like, there are some people who might help us do videos, but even we could do short snippets, like, tell us why you need affordable housing. And that could be a little video on the, some of the things we post could be getting this message out. And certainly this Zoom that we're going to do, if we then we record it and we can link it. I love that idea. So Erin, would you be willing to set up that page, or Chad? Would I feel like,
I can try. I mean, I'll try. I've never done it before.
I also don't have Facebook, but maybe
Chad.
We can work on it together. I know.
Well, I'm on Facebook. I've never created a page. Well, I guess I did one at one point, my own, but yeah, sure. I'll give it a try.
Okay.
I'll reach out to Chad if I need help.
Chad and I are going to join Facebook after all or maybe I can't speak for you, Chad, but I've really held out for so long.
I know. All the pressure, and here it is.
I haven't missed it in my life, I'll say that, but
well, you don't know what you missed because you haven't been on it.
So true. Thank you for opening this world for me. And
Happy to.
I do think it's the right thing to do. I really do. So I think we've got some things moving forward. From now on, I promise we will be a little bit more organized. I am going to look into whatever happened with the Zoom, and we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. That's the last thing we want. Is even if we're doing it legally, we certainly don't want anyone to feel that they wanted to come to the meeting and they couldn't. We want to encourage people to come to these meetings. I will look into that and make sure that we're more organized. I'd like you to just think about this, and I'll put pressure on you in 2 weeks. If somebody would be willing to just agree to take the minutes, they really can be fairly bare bones. You know, we follow the agenda, obviously, so it can just be notes under the.
Sarah, I'll take them next week.
Thank you. And actually, I'm asking, like, would somebody just do the minutes from now on? And
putting my hand
I knew when you raised your hand. So give it some thought. I would be happy to support you in just finalizing them. They really don't have to be very detailed. Some of you take very, very detailed notes, and I appreciate that. But so I think that would just help this group move it along, and then we just have it all in one place and know where to expect it from. But
Sarah, I'll just do it from now on. That's no problem.
Chad, God bless you. Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate it. And so Chad is now our designated secretary. And then I know it's over time, so I'm going to adjourn, but I want to leave us with, there has been an election, and unfortunately, Erin did not run again. Because she did not run again, she cannot be reelected. But Erin has said she has some interest in staying on this committee. We definitely have an interest in keeping her on this committee, but obviously that's not for the committee to decide. So I will talk to the first select woman and find out what the next step is if Erin can stay. And I would assume that somebody would be added from the Board of Selectmen, and I don't know how they make that decision. So I will, keep you informed, but I would assume expect another member to join, and maybe Erin can stay as well. Okay. If there's nothing else, then, and Erin, I want to say thank you for agreeing to possibly stay if you can. I really do appreciate that.
No, I hope, I've mentioned it a few times, and I hope that I can. I kind of look forward to having more time to be able to devote to this committee, if I'm permitted to stay.
I really appreciate that. And now we can say, in addition to everything, we need your Facebook knowledge.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, everyone have a good 2 weeks, and we'll see you back with the developers. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Good. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Hey, are you and I the only ones left?